Hi there and welcome to the Purl Up and Die podcast. My name is Jaden and this is a knitting podcast. Kind of a little bit of everything, knitting, and maybe today we'll talk a little bit about sewing, but it's mostly about my knitting adventures as I go about my crazy life. So if you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much and welcome back. So grab yourself something to drink and I hope that you'll stick around and visit with me. So you can find me around the internet as Creations on a Whim at Ravelry. And online on Instagram, you can find me at Little Prairie Purl. And also at Midnight Cravings. It's my Instagram account for the shop that my sister and I own. So I think that's where you can find us. Yeah, like I said, grab something to drink. Today I'm drinking ice cold coffee. It's not meant to be an iced coffee. It's just that I took so long to get ready to do all this that my warm coffee, my hot coffee, actually went cold. But I'm drinking it out of one of my very favorite mugs. He is a narwhal. And funny little story about this little narwhal. So he is a hand-thrown piece of pottery from Salty Sea Dogs. They are a maker. They own, they have an Etsy shop and they do lots of shows across Canada. And they're based out of Calgary, Alberta. Anyways, what can I tell you about them? Anyways, they have the most adorable mugs. This is a pretty substantial sized one. I can't remember how many ounces it holds, but probably 20. But they were having a second sale because they have these little narwhals all the time. But this little guy, his eyes bled a little bit. You can see his eyes ran just a little bit. And so they called them their emo narwhals. And so he became a second. They don't sell these ones at their shows and stuff because he's considered defective. I don't think he's defective. I think he's adorable. So anyways, I grabbed him on their second sale, which actually went really fast. So I was really excited that I got one. And then in the fall, in September, we did, for Midnight Cravings, we did a show in Saskatoon and they were there and I got myself a little shark mug. But anyways, he's one of my favorites and that's who I'm drinking out of. So I will, look them up. It's Salty Sea Dogs. They're Salty Sea Dogs on Instagram, and then they'll have a link to their Etsy shop and where they're doing some shows. So that's what I'm drinking today. Hopefully somebody else doesn't, or has some cold coffee to join with me with. So, so surprise. It's not 4 months since my last podcast. I was like, oh, I can't do a podcast. It's only been a couple of weeks. And then I looked on YouTube today and I realized it's been a month. So where does the time go? I don't even know. So it is time for me to do another one. And I have lots of things to show. I'm sorry. I'm just looking for my show. Oh, there they are. My show notes. So ignore me when I'm looking around. I'm just that disorganized. It took me like 2 hours to get all ready to go and set up and everything. So forgive me. Okay. So last podcast, I was showing some whips. I think they're all FOs now. And I was showing some yarn that was going to become I was going to cast it on, and I have casted it on. So I'm feeling very proficient lately. So I don't remember what I was showing. I do remember, let's start with the basically, it was a teaser kind of thing. I showed you about this much of a test knit that I was starting, and I worked on it like crazy because it was on a deadline, and I finished it. So last week when you saw it, I had about like that done on it. I had just begun. So now it is finished. The shawl has been released. Oh, excuse me. So I will give all the details. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the how to show this thing. It's really quite big, actually. So it is a triangular, like an asymmetrical triangle. It's really big. I don't even know. You'll have to go onto my website or my Instagram and see it all full. But yeah, it's a beautiful garter stitch. It's really squishy. And then it works into these lace panels right here. And then, okay, so I did some modifications to the pattern because I didn't do a gauge swatch. Like I always tell everybody, you should do a gauge swatch, and then I don't follow my own advice. So my bad. My gauge was way too big, and I was not going to make it with the yardage that she did. It's supposed to be 2 balls of just like 2 colors, and I used 2.5. So that's my fault, not the patterns. It's way bigger than what hers was. So anyways, it was supposed to be, right, this section is, it was supposed to be purple again. So it was supposed to go like purple, and then, well, okay, so in my colors, it would have been purple, gray, and then bind off here, or no, this would have been gray again, and then this would have been purple. So, but I threw in the 3rd color because I was just down to this 2nd stripe, and I was playing yarn chicken. So I was like, this is not going to work. So I pulled back the stripe, the whole chevron section, and I started with a 3rd color. And I really like how it turned out. So it was kind of a happy accident. But anyways, this shawl is called the Arwe shawl. Arwe? It's like the old English word for arrow. And it's by Amma Marie Knits, and you can find her as Amma Marie Knits on Instagram and Amma Marie Knits on Ravelry. So I have this project linked in my Ravelry page if you want to have a look at the details that I did. I don't remember needle size. I might have done a 4mm, and I know, especially with fingering, I should only ever go like max of 3.75. But I kind of, and this was a light fingering, so I could have even done like a 3.5, and I did a 4. So it was quite a bit too big, but that's okay. It's really drapey and really soft, and it's going to go to a friend of mine. I really love the colors and everything, and I would probably wear the heck out of it, but my friend needs it more than me. So the colors that I used, I forgot to mention, this purple and not this one, this gray. So the more soft gray and the purple here are both by Long Dog Yarns. I feel like I'm blowing out a bit today. I'm not sure. It's like the sun is kind of popping in and out a little bit with, it's cloudy and windy today, and it's just kind of weird lighting, so I apologize. Anyways, Long Dog Yarn, Midnight Affair is the purple, and the gray here is, I called it saltwater pearl last time. It's freshwater pearl, and it's a gray, and it's got a little purple fleck in it. It's really pretty. And then for the 3rd color I pulled in, it is this really beautiful variegated speckly color, and it is Jazz by Yarn Inc. So I had never used this particular color before, the Jazz, and it's beautiful. I kind of want to have all the things. Let me find the rest of my ball. That's right here. So it's got like an aqua blue and a orange and this hot pink, purple, like magenta color, and black, all on a gray base. It's really beautiful, and I loved working with it. It was really soft and lovely. And it matched the twist, so I'm not sure if they use the exact same yarn supplier, but the twist seemed to match. Pretty much, yeah. And I think the yardage and everything was the same, so likely the same supplier. And it was like a 4-ply, I think it's a 4-ply twist. 1, 2, 3 for sure. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's the Long Dog Yarns. Well, it said twist on my yarn bands. It said Long Dog Yarns twist sock or twist. I can't find that reference to anything in their website or even on their like discontinued yarns that they would have through Ravelry. It just says bounce, and it wasn't bounce. I had a Long Dog Yarns twist. No idea why I can't seem to find that on there. I mean, they might have discontinued it, but it should still be in Ravelry as like a discontinued yarn unless they just deleted it. Don't know. Anyways, that's what I used. I can't verify that the bounce is as nice as the one that I used. It probably is, but it'll be different weights. So anyways, that was that project. So I'm really happy with that. I'm going to gift it to my friend soon. FO number 2 was, I'm really excited about this one, you guys. I finished my daughter's cardigan and I love it. And she loves it, so that's even better. So, I was showing you guys this one last time. It is her little cardie. Sorry, let me hold it. It looks really huge. It looks like it could fit me. Well, okay, now when I actually show it, no, it can't. But look, if it was just like that, it would fit me. It's only about 18 sizes too small for me, but anyway. I did the Playdate cardigan. Sam of Hand Me My Knitting had suggested that one because I was asking on Instagram a while back about I wanted a cardigan and blah, blah, blah. And she said, try that one. So I did. Thanks, Sam, for suggesting it because I love the pattern. Tin Can Knits is who designed it, and you definitely can't go wrong with any of their patterns. So I modified it a little bit. The Playdate cardigan doesn't call for stripes, but it's a super simple pattern and you can hack it no problem. It also called for pockets, which I skipped. I didn't want her using the pockets because she'd fill it with rocks and things like that, stretch the yarn all out, and I didn't want that happening. But yeah, and she also, so she had some specifications for this sweater. She had asked me for, I think I touched on it last time, but whatever, I'll do it again. She asked me for a cardigan, so check. She wanted elbow length sleeves, so got those. She wanted blue stripes, got those too. What else did she want? Oh, she wanted rainbow dot yarn, so speckled rainbow yarn. So I dyed that up for her. And and she wants to wear it bumpy side out, so purl side out. She really liked, I was knitting it just regular stockinette, and I showed her both sides, and she said that she really liked this side with the bumpy side. She liked how the stripes were better. She thought they were pretty cool. So I was like, that's actually kind of awesome because I kind of like that side better too. The wrong side. But, so it doesn't have buttons yet. I am going to put buttons on, but I'm thinking of putting, along this button band on the inside, I'm thinking of putting a wide ribbon. So there's a trick to the button bands. If you sew a wide ribbon inside your button band here, not the side with the holes, but the side that actually is going to have the button sewn to it, it gives this panel more strength, and so it won't stretch out. Because what I'm worried about is that I did it at kind of a loose gauge, and if I sew the buttons on right to the yarn here in the ribbing, eventually those buttons are going to pull on these enough that it's going to stretch out this button band. So I think I'm going to go like to Michael's or Fabricland or wherever and find a ribbon that matches and just hand sew it in and then attach the buttons. So it'll be a little while yet before I get those, but she wears it as an open cardigan, so it's all fine. So yeah, so like I said, I knit the back panel. So if anybody's curious as to how I knit it, so it's reverse stockinette, but I actually just knit the whole panel in stockinette or whatever, it's the same. I just knit it regular so that it's a stockinette. So knit one side and purl the other. I put the stripes in wherever I felt like it. There are the blue is 2 stripes and the speckle yarn between is 4 stripes. And then when it was time to knit the sleeves and the button bands, I was holding it so that it was reverse stockinette side out. So when I picked up my stitches, here we can see, when I picked up my stitches, the seam is actually not here on the purl side, which normally it would be. It is here on the inside, which normally would be your right side. Right there. So, and then the shoulder seam is, oh yeah, and that's the other thing. I did a 3 needle bind off. Maybe I touched on that last podcast. I did a 3 needle bind off, a special technique for it to get me that seam there, which travels really nicely into the back seam. So I'm actually really excited about how the seams turned out. It's probably the best one I've ever seamed. And I was being really super duper careful because I thought, you know what, if she ever gets sick of wearing it purl side out, she could easily wear it this way and just have like decorative seams. Because I picked them up as tidy as I could. This side is maybe a little bit, no, it's pretty good. I think it's the speckles that are making it look like it's a little wonky up here, but it's straight. But yeah, the seams are pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. She could easily wear this as a reverse and have like, you know, that's kind of the style in some places, is to have like the seams popping out. I know my husband's got a sweater, and every time I look at him, I'm like, babe, your sweater's inside out. And I'm like, oh wait, no, it's not. Never mind. It's just the seams. So anyways, really happy with that. It's not a free pattern, it's a paid pattern, but as with all Tin Can Knits patterns, sweater patterns and garment patterns, they have, it goes 0 to 3 months to adults 4XL. So it's really, you buy one pattern and you can knit for every single member in your family. So I love their patterns for that. So yeah. Oh, I should show you the little buttons that I'm going to put on it. Let's see. There. Whoop. I think I'm going to put these little buttons on. So these I bought, oh man, ages ago. Let's see. Come on. Focus. Oh, there. Anyways, they're little purple buttons with a little green circle inside. There we go. And yeah, they look really sweet against that. So really happy with that. Yeah, so anyways, I bought these ages ago. I've got like 150,000 of these buttons back when I scrapbooked. But they're just regular buttons. But that's where they're from. They're scrapbooking buttons from Doodlebug. I know a lot of people probably used to scrapbook, and that's where I got them. So I've used them for hats. Actually, that's why I ended up buying them, is they were really cute for like the inside of floral hats and stuff, or flowers inside on like the side of a crocheted hat. So I used to use them for that kind of stuff, but I have a big stash of them, and they're perfect for this little sweater. So those are the ones that Alora picked. She wanted those purple buttons. She liked them better than like the pink ones or the yellow ones or whatever. And last FO of the week, I don't even think was a thought on my last podcast. I don't even think I have this yarn yet. So since my last podcast, my sister and I went down to Regina to the Naked Sheep Yarn and Fiber store. It's run by the sweet girl named Nicole. It's really good little yarn shop. It's beautiful in there. She's got it set up so cute, and it's very welcoming. I absolutely love, like, right in the middle of her store, she's got these like antique couches, and anybody can come in and sit and knit. When we got there at about 9 in the morning, just after she opened, she already had like 6 people sitting there knitting away. And all day Saturdays, she says, well, every day of the week, anybody's welcome to drop in and just sit and knit. But on the Saturday, it was full. The couches always had somebody sitting there, 2 or 3 people sitting there just knitting away, and it's kind of like a community gathering place, which is so much fun. So anyways, we had a pop-up show, a trunk show at the Naked Sheep, and after it was done, I did a little bit of shopping in her shop, and I bought some Mano Still Uruguay. See, we lost the tag right there at the store. She wound it up for me on a really awesome winder that she's got. And somewhere along the way, it got set down and shuffled about, and Tara and I had like things everywhere, and so we lost the yarn band. I don't even know. Is Mano Still Uruguay? But I can't remember like the weight. It's their worsted. I'll think of it. Because I keep thinking Rasta, but that's Malabrigo. Oh well, doesn't matter. The colorway is current. It's Manos del Uruguay. It's their worsted weight, whatever. It's a single ply yarn, so I haven't worked with many single ply yarns, especially not in the heavier weights, but I really liked it. It wasn't splitty or anything, and yeah, did I say the colorway? The colorway's name is Current, so it's like all these purples and oranges and deep pinks and plummy colors, and then like a quite unexpected pop of, that's a better color representation right there. It's blowing out up here. But back here, it's like burgundies and plums and deep purples and like a honey mustard color. And it's awesome. So the pattern that I did was a Beeswax Hat pattern by Amy Vandelaar. Sorry. And it's got these really awesome, you can kind of see the stitches. There we go. That's pretty good. If you look closely, I'll try to hold it up for a little bit. I notice when I'm playing back and editing my photos, I show it so quickly that people probably can't see it, but it's got these really great honeycomb stitch, and it's just with like a simple 1/1 cable. So this is a really simple pattern, and I enjoyed it very much to knit it, but it turned out a bit big. I went down a couple needle sizes from what I was reading other people's project pages, and they were saying like 120 stitches, which she has you cast on, was just way too big on the needle sizes that she called for. So she must be a really tight knitter, or else it's supposed to be a super slouchy hat. But I went down a good, like a needle size, cast on the same amount, and it's still quite big for me. I've got a fairly small head. Yeah, I'll let you insert whatever you want to say about I have a small head. And so this is a bit big. Sorry, I was going to drink some more of my cold coffee. It's really not that good. I should either make iced coffee or just make myself some hot coffee, because it's not that good. But anyways, okay, here, I'll just put it on and show you. So it's meant to be a bit slouchy, I think. Actually, it's probably meant to be a beanie, and it's just too big. But we're going to say it's meant to be slouchy. And yeah, but like, look, it has got a lot of stretch in there, so it could fit. But the thing is this is not superwash, I don't believe. So I could felt it just a wee bit and make it shrink a bit. Or I could just give it to somebody who fits it better than me. Or I could just wear it. I might just do that. I might just wear it. Oh my goodness, you guys. Where is my hair going? I need to have like, you know what I need to have is like one of those people that when you mess up your hair, they just come along and they fix it for you, like a makeup artist and a hair person. Am I that important? Can I have one of those? But anyways, big hat. So the other day I was wearing it to the post office and running around doing errands, and it had started like up here, like as a slouch, so that my bangs would stick out, because otherwise I like have no head. And by the time I was done, I got home and it was like hanging over my glasses. So it's a little big. Yeah, because like I started out with it like here, and it eventually just like rode forward. And when I got home, my toque was like sitting over my glasses like that. And it was like, okay, that's just ridiculous. So it's a little big. And I got some hair happening. It's good times. It's like a cloche. Like from the 20s. So anyways, I don't know. I need to find somebody who has like at least a 24-inch head, because mine is only about 22 inches. A couple more inches and this would fit. Or somebody with lots of hair. Like I have lots of hair, but it's short, so it doesn't really work for me. But anyways, I love the hat. I love the yarn. I love it. I just wish it was just a wee bit smaller. And I am not frogging it, because I don't know if you can tell. I don't think you can tell. Well, maybe there. It is a bit fuzzy. I think just because it's a single ply, and single ply is just, because they don't really have a twist, they're not twisted and plied together with multiple plies, they can tend to be a little bit more fluffy or pilly. And yeah, it's a nightmare to rip out. So this will not be ripped out. It will be a gift, or it'll be mine and I'll just wear it, or I'll felt it down just a tiny bit. That would be really scary to do, actually, but we'll see. So that's it for FOs. I had 3, which none of them were really insubstantial. The hat actually only took me like 3 days or something like that on and off of knitting, because it's a worsted weight hat, and I kind of like working with worsted weight. My favorites have been fingering and sport. And then I cast on this worsted one, and I was like, boom, it was done. I was like, 2 days, it was done something? I'm going to knit with that more often. So worsted's my favorite. Going to do all the things in worsted from now on. It's like, I feel very proficient. So anyways, Last week I showed this hat. So moving on to whips. This was an FO from last week. And yeah, you can see, I think you can actually see those cables. You can kind of see that they look like a tree and then an upside down arrow. It's an awesome hat. I really love this. This was made out of something dovestone. Ba-ram-yu dovestone. And it's a marled, held 2-ply. Here, I'll find my remnant. So you can see that marled yarn. That's what I have left for my hat. Should weigh that. That's probably about 30 grams or so. And it's a worsted weight 2-ply, obviously. So I wanted to knit some mittens to match this hat because I really like wearing this one. And so I had bought myself some Patton's Classic Worsted. Boop. From Michael's. It cost me like $3.99 or something crazy like that. I think it was $6.99 and then I used a 50% off coupon because it's awesome. It's like if you've got a 50% off coupon, you use it on something. So I got this classic wool and I cast on a mitten. And I decided to do the world's simplest mitten pattern by Tin Can Knits. So I've got one mitten done, and I did, this is the palm side, so on the back side of the hand, I did the same cable pattern as what was called for in the hat pattern. So the hat was a Zoe by Alexandra Davidoff. And I did, so the pattern, it shows the chart, like you can see that there's 2 different cables here. There's the one that's pointing here, right here. You can see that one. The arrow kind of goes up, and then this one, the arrow kind of points down. So I did this one, the one that goes up. Because, and I just did the one because there was no point in doing the other one because it wouldn't have shown on the there. So yeah, so it was really super easy to incorporate the stitch pattern into the world's simplest mitten pattern. So this pattern for the world's simplest mitts is by Tin Can Knits. I think I might have said that. I have absolutely no idea. I have not drank enough coffee because it kept going cold. But it's free and it is written for fingering, sport decay, worsted and bulky. So you can like literally knit a pair of mittens with any yarn that you've got in your stash. And yeah, so this was out of the Patton's Hardy worsted. Nope, classic worsted. Classic wool worsted. So I really like that it calls for like a 4.5 or a 4-inch ribbed cuff, because there's nothing worse than your mitten popping out of your jacket, especially in Saskatchewan. So these are nice and long. I really like them. And they're pretty cozy. So I just finished this one. The only thing I don't really like is the way that they're finished. You do all your decreases and then you just pull it tight and it looks like a belly button on the top of my mitten. And I just don't super love the finishing up there, but whatever. Because it's not super wash wool, eventually it will felt down a little bit, and so hopefully it'll close up that. And it won't look so weird. But anyways, really happy with that. And the mitten only took me like 2 days. It would have only just taken me one if I would have had like a couple hours to dedicate to it. But so there's mitten number 1. I have weaved in every end. So this is a whole half finished, half object. And my second one, I have begun. I did it, started it cast on this morning. So just so I had something to show you guys. So I've got like 4 rows done, 5 rows maybe, of the 1x1 rib that it starts with. So easy peasy. I'm using a 3.75 millimeter needle. This one's from Knit Picks. It's an interchangeable. And then once you're done the ribbing, I move up to a 4 millimeter, and I'm doing those on my Chow Goose just because I like the. Okay, it's not because of any preference. It was the only size 4 millimeter I could find. All the rest are on project somewhere. So I am using a Chow Goo for the main part of the mitten, and a 3.75 Knit Picks interchangeable needle for my cuff. And that's pretty much the only WIP that I have right now, because I do have a pair of socks for my husband, but they have not really grown, because they're just kind of the sock that I take along with me when we go somewhere. So I'll knit like 2 rows and then that's it. So I think last time I showed it to you, it was probably this tall, and now it might be this tall. So it might have one more stripe on it. So it's not a biggie to show. But yeah, so that's it for me for what I've got on the needles and what I've just come off. And so now it's just time for some general chit chat, I guess. So, what first? Oh, I know. Okay, so this hat that I have finished is available on Ravelry, but I didn't actually buy it through Ravelry. It's a paid pattern, but I joined the Making Things app. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a brand new concept website app thing for knitters. So the general idea is that it's like Netflix for knitters. So it's a subscription service, but for patterns. So it's kind of cool. And I know there's some controversy about it through Ravelry and blah, 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 but I think they're getting that worked out. It was just, the controversy is just because people were unclear about how their money was being spent and how the designers were being reimbursed for us using their patterns. But I think they're working through all that. I think they had it figured out, but they just didn't word it well, and it was confusing, and so some people were put off by it. But anyways, I don't really feed into all the drama. I'm like, they're upfront about how our subscription money is being spent, and so I'm like, well then, that's fine. So for $12 US a month, you basically get into a database of patterns that are free. They're not free, they're all paid for patterns. Like, so if you went and found them on Ravelry, you'd have to pay for them. But the point of the subscription service is that you pay X dollars a month. So mine is $12 a month US. And then you can access these patterns that designers have to sign up, and they put in the patterns that they wish for people to be able to access. So it's not like they're just grabbing patterns from Ravelry and throwing them in there or anything like that. It's, designers join, and they have a contract, blah, blah, blah. So this hat is normally, I think, $7 US on Ravelry, and I was able to access the pattern on my subscription through the Making Things app. So it's a really cool app, actually, because what they found, I think, was that Ravelry, I love Ravelry, so don't think that I'm disrespecting them in any way. But I do find that there's so many patterns out there in the Ravelry database that it can be quite overwhelming to pick a new project or decide what I want to knit next. And so with the Making Things app, they have a very small database, and I just find it's easy to navigate, easy to find new patterns that I would have never seen on Ravelry, and I really like it. And so when you pick your project that you want to do, so I could see all the specs that I needed for this pattern, but I couldn't see the actual pattern until I said, let's make this or whatever, and then it says, do you want to make it? And I'm like, yep, I sure do. And then you get access to the pattern. For no extra fee or anything. It's just once you say, yes, you want to make it, that's when part of the money that you spend in your subscription goes to that designer. So you basically don't want to just click a bunch of things, because then the designers are all having to share that part. And if you don't intend on making it, then it's kind of a waste. So yeah. So anyways, just make sure that that's the pattern that you want to make. And so I'm of two minds of the app. I love it in the fact that it shows me patterns that I wouldn't have found on Ravelry, because things get buried so fast, or you only see like the most popular ones on the first 25 pages, and new designers or new designs are getting buried immediately or just never seen, and which is a shame, because you might have found the most perfect cardigan and you wouldn't have known, because it's buried under the cardigans that have been knit 48,000 times. So So that is good. The only downside for myself is, okay, so it's $12 US a month. I have now knit this pattern, but once I stop subscribing to there, I won't have access. So I could never knit this again without subscribing again or buying the pattern on Ravelry. So it's kind of like money down the drain, but it's kind of not. So I don't know. I'm of two minds, like I said. It could be awesome. I think it could be really awesome for people who don't like knitting the same pattern twice, or who like to knit like smaller items like hats and mitts and cowls and stuff like that you could knit. You'd need to knit more than 2 patterns a month just out of the Making Things app to make the money to pay it off for yourself. Because I mean, this pattern is $7 US or whatever on Ravelry. So I could have just bought the pattern for $7, but I paid for my subscription of $12. So I'm still needing to make something else this month to make up that $5. Otherwise, it would have been better for me monetarily just to buy this hat pattern through Ravelry. So if you are limited on your budget, it's maybe not the app for you because it could just be money down the drain. So I am quickly going to be needing to cast on something else to pay off October's payment for myself. So will I be on it all the time? No, I probably won't. I wanted to try it out and just see what it was like and if I enjoyed it, which I did. But I know some months, like summertime, I'm not going to be knitting as much. So that's the other nice thing is you can stop your subscription at any time. You're not locked in unless you wanted to buy the full year. But it's a month by month. And if you decide that you don't want to, they just pause your thing. You still have access to your profile and things, but you don't have access to the patterns anymore until you pay again. So I do like it. I'm probably not going to subscribe yearly. It'll be a month, maybe this month, maybe I'll stop at the end, or whatever, and then pick it up again. I don't know, but I wanted to try it and I do like it. So maybe it's something that you'd like. Thought I would throw that out there, but there's a couple of things that I found on there that I would have never seen on Ravelry, and I'm like, I need to make that. And so I do think it's worth it for that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to cast on a sweater soon using the app and stuff. And it's nice because it's fully digital. So if you're a person who doesn't like to carry around papers and things like that like to do everything with your phone or your iPad, that app is really good. It's got ways to mark your rows and ways to mark your repeats, and you can put notes in the pattern itself, and it's a really cool app. So I would suggest checking it out. It's the makingthingsapp.com. So I am not paid. I should just say that I am not paid that's my own personal thoughts and review. Going into that, talking about Ravelry a little bit, and why I like the Making Things app was because it was less overwhelming for me. Brings me to my next little chit chat thing, and it's about Ravelry. So, like I said, absolutely love Ravelry. I've used it since almost the beginning. I'm like user number 30,000 or 300,000. So now there's over like 8 million people that use it. So I started using it within the first few months that they launched. So I've been a member forever and ever and ever. And you can just imagine what my favorites folder looked like. So I've been using Ravelry for about 8 years. And I still had favorites from way back then, from when I crocheted. I don't crochet anymore because I've touched on this before. It hurts my wrists, blah, blah, blah. So I would try, when I want to find a new pattern to knit, I would try to go through my favorites first because, there's always new things to see, but I favorited things for a reason. But I had almost 1,900 favorites saved. That's ridiculous. So I was finding that even though I was searching my own favorites for like a sweater pattern, I still had to go through like 600 sweater patterns that I had saved. And I was just finding it so overwhelming and annoying. And I was like, I'm never going to knit these. Like my style has changed, or I got it because it was free and it's not free anymore, or whatever. Like, I follow some of the a thread that's like free for a day kind of thing. And I was just grabbing stuff because it was free. And whether I was like, oh, that would be nice to make someday. Well, eventually it was out of control. So I spent a couple hours on Saturday going through all of my favorites and deleting tons. I went from almost 1,900 patterns to under 500. So there was a lot of waste and a lot of overwhelming choices. So that is now cleaned up. And then I went through my library because, like I said, I grabbed a bunch of freebies that were just free for a day or two, like a promoted freebie. And I went through and I just was merciless. I just deleted anything that I'm like, you know what? Probably not going to knit that. Gone. Anything that was crocheted was pretty much gone because I can't do it anymore. Toys, I'm like, okay, I have never knit an amigurumi. I love them and I think they're adorable. But honestly, they're not what I work on, like knit or crochet. So I'm like, I think I saved a couple because they were adorable. But for the most part, those went out the window. So I'm down to far fewer in my library, far fewer in my Ravelry page, and I'm finding it's so much easier to navigate. So if you guys have an overwhelming portfolio of favorites, I would suggest doing that, because some of them, I had 47 pages of favorites. And when I clicked on page 47, I was like, I don't even know why I saved these. I'm never going to make, whatever it was, like a double knit bulky blanket. I don't like knitting blankets. I don't like knitting with bulky. And I'm not going to double knit. And I'm not going to make a blanket. So pretty much every blanket that I had saved was gone. Anything that was bulky was gone. So, when I was a beginner, I didn't know my personal knitting style, what I like to knit with, what kind of projects I like knitting. So it was like everything. And so now I'm more selective. So anyways, just throwing that out there. That felt really good because, okay, so it's going to just turn into a bit of a rant here. Not really a rant, but I've been finding, so when I started knitting, I knit because I wanted a new hobby, something that was relaxing and fun and enjoyable for me. And in the last little while, I've been finding it's been less that. I still enjoy knitting, but it's become almost like an obligation and not so much something that I do for myself and for fun anymore. I did notice it really turned that way when I started dyeing yarn with Tara, and that we needed samples for our shop. And so instead of knitting things that I wanted to knit for myself, I started knitting things that would make good samples for the shop. So things like the Find Your Fade, which I love, don't get me wrong, but I honestly am probably not going to wear it. So it's a shop sample. That's 5 skeins of yarn. Like, that was not a short knit. Sweaters, not so much sweaters. I wear them myself, so that's fine. But certain hats, certain shawls, cowls, Tara's knit a couple of cowls and a shawl, things that ended up being for the shop and not for me. And that kind of burns you out a little bit because you don't get to enjoy the fruits of your labor kind of thing. And it started getting, like, I started feeling guilty. Like, if I was knitting something for myself, I was like, oh, I should be knitting with my own yarn, like my own hand-dyed yarn. Why am I using this stuff for my stash? Or why am I using this other hand dyer's yarn when I've got yarn of my own? And if I use the yarn from my own, well, I should definitely do it for a shop sample. So I'll pick this pattern that I really have no desire to knit, but I know the customers will like it, and so I'll knit that. So that's what my knitting was turning into. And I was finding I was getting really not enthusiastic about knitting anymore. It had become an obligation. It became my job, really, because my job is yarn dyeing. But then my hobby, which was knitting, became part of my job because then I was knitting for work. So I kind of wanted to take that back a little bit. So we decided that we were going to start hiring out our sample knits. So we do have quite a few samples that have been knit for us that we have paid or traded services or paid out to have knit for us. So that was really great, because it takes a load off of both Tara and I for needing to knit for shows, shop samples, and things like that. So now I am to the point where I am knitting for myself, the things that I want to knit again, and not even necessarily knitting my yarns or like our yarns that we dyed. Like for example, this Playdate one. This is yarn that I dyed myself, but it's not available in the shop. It's just something that I did for fun. Laura wanted a rainbow speckle yarn, so I created rainbow speckle yarn. Whether it will ever be available in the Midnight Cravings shop, I don't know. Right now, it isn't. It is just a personal yarn that I wanted to dye for fun and to knit with for fun. And so I really enjoyed that. And then this one, again, didn't use our yarn. I used Long Dog yarns and Jazz, and I just wanted to knit it because I just wanted to knit it. But going through my favorites really solidified that I need to be more selective with what I decide that I want to favorite and knit. And also I was watching the Espastrico podcast. If you guys don't watch the Espastrico podcast, it's Melissa and Lisa. They're a store owner in Montreal, and they're hysterical, and they're very proficient knitters. They run the store, and I just enjoy watching them so much. But they both know their personal styles, and they only knit what they know they like. And they were talking about one of the last podcasts I watched from them was in October, and they were talking about slow fashion. And for me, I don't know exactly what all that entails, but for me, what I took away from them talking about this slow fashion was that, you know, to be really mindful of what you're putting into your wardrobe. So for me, I know I'm not going to wear a fitted sweater with open lace work or something. Like, I do really like open lace work. But okay, so I'm not going to wear a fitted sweater because I just know that I'm personally not comfortable in that. I'm always tugging on things that are a little too tight because I've got, you know, I'm a bigger girl. So I don't like stuff that's like skin tight and it's showing off my muffin top, right? So those ones immediately out of my favorites because I'm like, A, I'm never going to knit them. B, I know they don't look good on me. C, they don't fit into my wardrobe or my like current aesthetic of clothes that I pick for my body type. So I've started kind of thinking more about what I personally like to knit. This is really rambly. I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys can follow this. But another example is I knit a lot of shawls. And how often do you actually see me wearing one on my podcast? Like almost never. Because I don't wear them. They literally get knitted, blocked, and I put them in a drawer, and I never wear them. And it's sad, but it's true. And so why am I knitting shawls? They don't fit in my lifestyle or my personal aesthetic. So, but what I do find is I've knit myself 2 sweaters. I've knit a Hamilton sweater by Josie Pequin. I'm sorry. I talked to her and asked her personally at Knit City how to say her last name. She did tell me, and I had it good, and now I forget. But anyways, Hamilton by Josie, and then a Carson sweater by Megan of Pip and Pin. And I wear those 2 sweaters to death. Like, they are so pilly because I wear them constantly. I have a big box of sweaters, just like commercial sweaters, that sits above my dresser because it doesn't even fit in my dresser drawers. That's how many sweaters I have. I can't even remember the last time I wore one because they're too tight or they're too something or they're a little bit cropped and they just don't fit me nicely, and I never wear them. I'm thinking those are going to go to Value Village. But the 2 sweaters that I knit for myself based on I knew that they would look good on my body, I love them, and I wear them all the time. So I'm like, why am I focusing my knitting time knitting things like shawls that I never wear instead of taking the time to knit myself something that will actually work for me? So that was my takeaway from slow knitting, or slow fashion, is to knit stuff, make stuff for yourself that you're actually going to wear and use. And it's just kind of something that was like an aha moment for me. It's like I'm giving myself permission to make bigger items, I guess is what it is, because I know being on a budget, it can really hurt to knit yourself a sweater financially because it's expensive, especially for me. I need to make at least the XL. Well, between the large and the XL, depending on the shape. If it's a boxy, sometimes I can get away with the large, but let's just say I need to make myself an XL. That's about a 44-inch bust. And I need, say, 5 skeins of yarn, maybe 4 skeins of yarn fingering weight. But like worst did I need about 6. And so if I was going to use hand-dyed yarn, we're looking at almost $200 for the sweater. So, I mean, it is an investment for myself even. But, I mean, there are cheaper options like Knit Picks, and I have an abundance of Knit Picks yarns. I've got Barocco Vintage. I've got, you know, just some misdyed stuff from my own self, or I get it on sale. So I have some sweater quantities, and I'm going to start knitting myself some sweaters because I know that's what I wear. I wear a lot of open cardigans. So, like right now, I'm just wearing, this is a really simple cardigan. It's just from Mittens or Ricky's or somewhere. It doesn't have any buttons. It's about tunic length. And that's what I wear. I usually wear like a tank top or a t-shirt and an open cardigan over top. And I'm like, I am going to knit myself one. So I have this one picked out. I actually started it, and it's by Josie Pequin again. She is You and I Knit on Ravelry and Instagram and all that. So this one is called Definitely Susan. And what I really like about this is it's an open work cardigan, or an open cardigan. And then for the button band, like you can see the button band there. And it's got like 22 buttons on the 2 sides. So right here, it's got like 11 or 12 buttons, and then the other side too. And then you knit like a scarf. And then the scarf is what creates that band. So it's really awesome. But I did start the scarf, and then I decided I would rather actually start with the cardigan. So I have pulled the scarf out, and now I'm going to start the cardigan. And whether I put buttons on it, I don't know, because I don't have to. It's just a garter. I'll try to show. It's just like a garter button band. It's really not wanting to focus today. There we go. My face was there. So you can see the garter button band, and where the buttonholes are actually on the scarf piece itself. So I don't have to worry about putting like buttonholes into the button band. It's just buttons that go on there. So if I choose not to put buttons on, I just have an open cardigan like this one. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is I really want to have one of those. So that's, I think, going to be my next cast on, is this cardigan. And then I will knit the scarf afterwards. I'll wear the sweater for a while and see if I like it. And if I want something that pulls it in, I'm going to knit the scarf. But I just really love it. If you go onto the the Ravelry page for this, you can see all the different ways that people have styled the scarf piece. And, you know, some people wrap it around and then button it so that it's like a cowl there. And then other people were taking the one side and buttoning it over here, so it's just kind of drapey. It's really beautiful. I really, really, really loved this pattern. So it's been in my favorites for a really, really long time. Like since she released it. I think I found it in the Hot Right Now, or the Brand New Knitters. It was published in October 2014, and I'm pretty sure I favorited it like right then. And every time I would look through my favorites for sweaters, I'd go, oh. So I know I will love this sweater because it's been a favorite of mine consistently. It's made it through a few deletions of, like when I was going through my favorites and purging, it's always made it through. So I'm like, okay, that's what I need to do, is go through my favorites, and the ones that really pull on my like aesthetics and that make me go like, oh, I love that consistently. Those are going to be the ones that I decide I'm going to knit, because everybody gets sidetracked by the brand new patterns, like Andrea Mowry's and Joji Locatelli, and all these ones are constantly coming out with new patterns, like almost monthly, and like Caitlin Hunter, and they're all beautiful. But if they don't, you know, if you're tempted to knit them because everybody else is knitting them and not because it's like your style, there's not really any point. And so I'm finding that I'm going to try that instead of getting distracted by like the newest and greatest, I'm going to go and find the classic pieces that I know I'm going to actually get a lot of wear out of. So anyways, enough rambling about that. I hope you guys can follow that train of thought. I didn't script it, obviously. So anyways, this Definitely Susan, I'm going to knit it from some sport weight yarn that I have. Plenty of it in this shop because we dyed a bunch of it and it doesn't seem to be a very popular color. So yay, I get a sweater out of it. So it's just a gray yarn with a black fleck in it. So that was the other thing. Instead of knitting myself like a bright colored cardigan, I'm going to knit myself a very basic gray and black because I know that will work with a lot of the things that are in my wardrobe. And it'll still be interesting to knit because it won't just be a solid color. And so it'll work with a lot of things in my closet. So yeah, this is called Onyx by Midnight Cravings. And yeah, it's part of our In the Rough fall collection, which is awesome. And I love it. So I'm really excited to cast on. So maybe I'm going to finish my mitten. That's the other thing I'm going to really try to do is go back to very few whips because that was the other thing. I had about 14 whips on my needles for a while. And I was finding I was getting really, really stressed out because there was just too many things. And so along with being mindful of what I cast on, I am going to also try to be more dedicated to finishing or getting close to being finished things and just making the most of my knitting time. Because I know for most of us, we just don't have an abundance of it. Like I work full time at my job. And when I get home, my kids get home from school. I leave work at about 3. My kids are home at about 3:20. So I only have about 20 minutes in there. I'll sometimes try to knit a row, but a lot of times it's like I'm tidying up and getting ready for the kids to come home. And then once the kids are there, I was like, honestly, you get like 2 rows knit and that's pretty much it. And then in the evenings after they go to bed, I'll have some time to knit and, sit with my husband or whatever. But if I'm going to be dedicating months of knitting time, it's got to be something that I'm going to actually use. So anyways, enough about that. So let me know in the comments below if you're feeling the same way I am, just overwhelmed with so much like knitters and knitting to do and obligations that you need to fill. And so that's also why I don't like gift knit like ever. So for the shawl, I am going to gift it, but it was going to be for me. And but it's going to go to a friend because, like I said, she needs it more than me. Anyways, I don't want to get into it. Really, she's just going through a hard time. And so it's just meant to be there to cheer her up and to let her know that I'm thinking of her. So it will go to her. And it was like, as I was knitting it, I was like, oh, these are so her colors, way more so than mine. And so I'm like, she'll love it. I know it. So, and she's infinitely knit worthy. She's received a few things from me before and she's definitely worth it. So anyways, so gift knitting I don't really do because I just have so little time to really do some knitting. I felt like I knit a lot lately. Though I did finish a lot, but I mean with the Playdate cardigan, last time you guys saw it, it just needed the sleeves and the button band, and honestly for a size like for a 7-year-old that didn't take very long, a couple of days of knitting. And the cardigan, the shawl was the biggest thing because, and it was a test knit, so I really powered through it. But for the most part, I'm like all the rest of you, just don't have a ton of time for knitting. And so, yeah, but I'm really looking forward to the cardigan. So, do you guys have any thoughts on that? Like what I was just rambling about, or what you're planning on knitting next for yourself? Or are you guys in the throes of gift knitting, or what are you guys all up to? I want to know. And yeah. And that's pretty much it for this week. I just wanted to show a couple little things that I've picked up. When I was at the Naked Sheep, I bought this little bag, and I thought it was so cute. Because when we were doing the trunk show, we were kind of in the back room. And she has this beautiful, like, room in the back that she has her classes and stuff in. So that's where we were. But I had this big open view of her shop. And so I found these project bags that she has a lady make for them. And it was so pretty. I saw it, and it was so cool because she makes them all from recycled materials. So like men's suits. This looks like khaki, like maybe from like men's pants. It's like a heavy, like almost like a denim-y canvas khaki. And it's slightly like an olivey green color, greenish gray. Some sort of leather tags. I'm not sure if she recycles this material from somewhere or if she gets new leather. I don't know. I'm trying to smell it. I love the smell of leather. Anyways, And the inside material was, there's a receipt in there from something else. Yeah, so maybe a skirt or something, who knows. But anyway, she gets like used clothing and then makes these awesome bags. So I just love this one because I thought it was so sweet with the lace and the buttons. So I grabbed myself that. So it's just wide open. It has no zipper, no buttons, no pockets, no nothing. But it's really good for just tossing your whatever project into and having it. And the other thing I got was a shawl. And so here I'm just talking about how I never use shawls, but I didn't buy this one for me. So if you guys follow her at all, it's Kalura Hudson. She is a knitwear designer called, and her username is While They Play. And oh, she's got beautiful stuff. But anyway, she was having a de-stash of her samples. So she was having a sample sale. And I really wanted to knit one of these. And the price on hers was so ridiculously good that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. Let's free up some of my knitting time. And I love these colors. So this is one of her newer shawl patterns. And it's just, oh, it's gorgeous. I love the shape of it. And I like that there's this beautiful cable. And then it's a lace at the bottom. So it's actually for one of my daughters. It's more like a shawlette. It's not a huge, massive shawl. So it's just nice to throw over your shoulders kind of thing. But it's a little bit small for me, which is fine. I bought it because I thought it would. My daughter Evelyn wants a shawl. And all my shawls are like massive because I make like big shawls. And she just swims in them. And this one, it was just the perfect size. So she wore it. She got it the one day. We tried it on her and it fits perfectly and she loves it. So yeah, so she wanted to have a nice little shawl to wear with dresses and things like that when we go out. So this is for her and it's really sweet and it's so soft. So that was fun. It's like, it's not very often that I get knitwear that I didn't knit myself. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh, and the other treat that I bought for myself was just some stitch markers. And if you followed me for a while, you'll know that I really like those little polymer stitch markers that are made like they look like food. I like food. So, which is the reason I'm an extra large. But anyways, I digress. I'll just show you the markers and shut up. So these are by a Canadian maker named the Cakery Bakery Charms. And she's out of like New Brunswick or Nova Scotia or the Maritimes. Let me find the receipt. Maybe it'll say on the receipt. Halifax, Nova Scotia. So, yeah, it's cakerybakerycharms.etsy.com. And she has the most realistic stitch markers I've ever seen. I'm like, okay, I know there's lots of charm makers out there and I really, really, really love them all. And I have quite a few, but these ones blew me away. Let me see if I can find a white paper or something like that to show you, to hang behind them. Because I can't even get over this detail. Okay, so this is an apple pie. I don't know if I can. There we go. Okay. Look at the ice cream. It's like drippy, but it's, look at the apples. And they're saucy. And there's sugar on, like that little twinkly sugar. It's actually rough. It's just like real sugar. And look how tiny it is. Like, you guys. Okay, so on my fingers, I've got small hands. Like, they're tiny. Come on. Don't want to see the focus on my face. Whatever. Anyways, they're very tiny. Like, itty bitty. Tiny little things. So that was the apple pie. Okay, I'm going to try this. Sorry, this is like one of those color catchers. You get them. I get some fabric from an online shop and they always send me a color catcher, which is great. So it's not a Kleenex. Alrighty. So here's a, see here. Boop. A carrot cake. Oops, sorry guys. Okay, so the carrot cake, it's got these little, you can see the little carrot bits in there. But look at the nuts. Like those are almost like little microscopic nuts in there. And then the swirl icing. And it's even got the texture on the bottom. It looks like legit real cake. Like I can eat it. And then I love this one because this is my husband's favorite cake is pineapple upside down cake. So I had to get one of those. Come on. Maybe if it would stop wiggling. So look at the pineapple. It's got like all the perfect detail, and that little maraschino cherry's got the hole for the stem. And then the cake. Come on. Focus again. The cake has got that perfect cakey texture. It's so, and like the bottom. It's like, it's so good. Uh-oh. I dropped it under my couch. Okay, I'll be finding that later because that one's like the best one. Okay, no, this one's the best one. Save the best for last. I don't know. They're all awesome. But this one I love. I love drumsticks. I don't know if you guys do. Like the ice creams. No, come on. My face is too big and the ice cream's too small. Okay. Try this again. Come on. You know you want. There we go. Sort of. Okay. So you can't really tell. Oh, you can kind of see the texture there. But the ice cream inside is totally textured like it's had a big bite taken out of it. But the little nuts, I can't even understand it. Like, okay. Oh my goodness, you guys. I can't even do this. But the little itty bitty nuts are just ridiculous. They're so perfect. And the little ice cream. Oh, so I got the 4 of them. And they weren't actually that badly priced. Well, if they weren't badly priced, or I wouldn't have got them. But for how much detail is on there, I can't even believe that she doesn't charge more. So I got those 4, and there's about a dozen more that I couldn't hardly decide which ones that I wanted most, because there was like tacos, and there was these lasagnas that were, all the little noodle layers, and it was perfect. Yeah, so there's tacos, and there was like different kinds of cookies, and different kinds of cakes, like rainbow cakes and stuff like that. And oh man, there's like a dozen more in there that I want. Donuts, all the things. I was like, that's my favorite food. Oh no, that's my favorite. Oh, so it took me like a couple of days to pick which ones I actually wanted, but I did, and I got these 4. I think there was like a blueberry pie, which I don't really like blueberry pie, so I wasn't tempted, but it was really cute too. Oh, there was a peach pie. You guys have to go check them out anyways. And the shipping was really reasonable. I paid like a flat rate shipping for the box. And she does do, so I paid $15 because it came in a box, this little box. And so the box doesn't fit through the slot in Canada. The slot of doom is only 2 centimeters, and this box was too high. So she gives you an option. You can have it sent to you in a box, or you can have it flat rate or sent in a letter mail envelope, and then she will give it to you for like, I think it was like $4 shipping or something, really cheap, because all of her charms will fit through the slot, and then she'll like wrap them in bubble wrap so that they don't get damaged. But I ended up just paying the $15 because actually I didn't see that she offered that other rate. But with the Canada Post strike going on, letter mail I thought would be even longer. So I decided to go with the box, because for $15 then it also came with a tracking number and I could watch it come. And it actually arrived very quickly. It didn't get stuck in any of the rotating strikes. So yeah, that was it. And that's what I've got and what I've been up to and what I've been knitting. And yeah, like I said, I would really like to get some feedback about what you guys are thinking about, or if you're thinking about joining the Making Things app, or what you're thinking about knitting for yourself, or if what I said about, only knitting the things that really speak to you resonated with you as well. So yeah, I would just love to get some feedback on that. And I guess that's everything. I'm going to go make myself some more coffee and I am going to, oh, I was going to do something fun this afternoon. It's sitting right here. And I forgot to mention it. I'm going to go make myself some coffee, and then I'm going to go do this fun thing. So I can't even speak English. It's like, I definitely need more coffee. Or maybe less coffee. More coffee. So I have been meaning to sew myself a project bag. So like I don't have enough project bags. I've got a whole stack over there, especially now that I'm like thinking I'm just going to do like one project at a time. I've got about 15 empty project bags. I might have to do, oh, that was something else I was going to talk about. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you. Okay, so I want to sew myself a project bag from my friend Jade. She's Stitch Mischief on Ravelry. I don't know. Maybe she's not Stitch Mischief on Ravelry. But she has a podcast. It's called Mischief Maker. It's here on YouTube, so make sure you check that out. She is Stitch Mischief on Instagram, and she has her own website, stitchmischief.com, where she sells the pattern, she sells the bags, pre-made, and a bunch of other things, and she is a yarn dyer. So, yeah, anyways, she came out with a pattern for one of her sewing bags. It's called the Finch Bucket. And where do I have? I had it printed, but I think it's over there somewhere. But yeah, she was such a sweetheart, and she gifted me the pattern. And so I've been meaning to sew it up for ages and ages, but I just haven't had the chance to. And today I'm not working, so my kids are in school. My podcast is done. I've got about 3 hours this afternoon of uninterrupted time, and I'm going to sew myself one. So I think I bought this in Kamloops. We went to visit Carla at Knit 2 Yarns on our way home from Knit City, and just down the way from her shop, about 3 shops over, is a quilt shop. So we went in there, and I found this fabric, and I have been hunting for this fabric. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know the maker, but my sister bought herself like a heat pad for her shoulders, and it had this fabric on it. And I'm like, I love it. Never found it. And we went into that quilt shop, and I found it. And I'm like, Finch Bucket. So this is my fabric. That's going to be the top. And I think I'm going to go downstairs and see what I have in my fat quarters and my stash. But up here, I had some fabric just sitting, needing to go downstairs. And I found this polka dot blue. It's like an aqua. And I think this might be the bottom unless I find something that I like better. And if I like something better, then this might just become the casing at the top because it's a drawstring bag. But as it stands right now, it might be these two. It will be this one, for sure. But I'm not sure if this is going to be my bottom fabric or if I'm going to find something that I like better down in my fabric stash. So I'm going to sew up a Finch Bucket today, I think. And yeah, I've been really itching to do some quilting. I'm a very super brand new beginner quilter, but I have saved lots of patterns, and I've bought a few fabric bundles, and I'm really itching to get like some of those started. Mini quilt maybe, just to learn how to do some of the piecing, because I'm thinking I'm going to do some half score triangles. So I might do that, and not today. I probably won't do any quilting today, but I'm going to sew my Finch Bucket. And yeah, I've been wanting to do like a mini quilt and just kind of get used to that. How to put the batting in, and how to do like the machine quilting, and how to do binding and all that. It's really good practice, I think, to try it on a mini quilt before I go ahead and do it on a big one. And the mini quilt I'll make sure it's big enough to use for my girls' dolls. Because they've got a couple of 18-inch dolls, and they've got we bought them like these wooden beds at IKEA for like no money, but it would be cute to have like a custom quilt on each one. So I think I'm gonna do that. That's what's been really pulling at me lately, is that I've wanted to get out my sewing machine, because I used to sew project bags, and I've kind of got away from that. Just because we dye yarn, and that's my full-time job now, and I just don't always feel like going downstairs and sewing in zippers and all that kind of stuff. So, personal sewing has kind of, I've never actually really personally sewed for myself or for my kids. I've sewed a couple dresses for them. But I basically taught myself to sew and jumped right into sewing project bags to sell, and never really sewed much for my family. So now I am kind of wanting to do that. I'm kind of becoming very, very selfish in my crafting time. So that's fine with me. So was that it? I don't even remember. Stitch markers, slow fashion name for self. Oh, my D-stash idea. Yes. So that's what I was saying about, I don't remember. Something twigged my memory about 5 minutes back about de-stashing. But being generally overwhelmed with a lot of things in my crafting. I've bought a lot of yarn. I have a lot of whips. Still needing to, I'm thinking I'm just going to pull them out. But I have been finding, you know, as you finish projects, I am not a person that likes to hold on to my scraps of yarn. And I did mention it in my last podcast that I sometimes throw some yarn away. And then I started thinking, instead of doing that, but I personally hate having like this. I don't like it. It's not enough for a hat. It's not enough for mittens. I could probably stripe it, but then it's doing that thing again where I'm feeling obligated to finish using it. Like this I bought to make myself something specific, which ended up being this. Well, now I have a little bit left over. I don't want to force myself to knit something just to use this up. And I don't want to hold on to it forever just because I might think of something in the future that I could use to knit it up. I don't like that. It weighs on my mind. It gives me like added stress and overwhelming feelings to think that I've got all this yarn that, I should use it on something. So I'm thinking, not everybody hates having that, because lots of people know what to do with scraps. I don't, because I'm not one that likes, I'm just going to say this out loud. I don't like scrappy quilts. I don't like the look of scrappy. I do if it's all cohesive, which kind of defeats the purpose of like a memory quilt blanket thing, but I just don't like, they're too busy for me, and I don't like them. And for myself, I have seen some very beautiful ones out there, but I'm never going to make one. And I'm going to say that out loud. So, and I've got like just the leftover bits. I don't even know if this would be enough for a pom-pom for it, but I know other people out there absolutely adore having scraps, and they know what to do with them, whether they're making a scrappy blanket for themselves, or this would be perfect for stripes in their sweater, or whatever. I don't know. Like this is the leftover chunk. It's almost like a full ball, so I'll probably keep this one. But I'm thinking that I might do like a scrap de-stash, because like, okay, when I finish my fade, I have like 25 grams or 30 grams of some of these balls. This one looks bigger than it is. It's probably about 30, 35 grams, maybe 40. But like here from the leftovers of Alora's sweater, it's just little bits. They're all big enough that you could make a few like cozy memory squares or whatever. Heels, toes, cuffs easily. These ones are 100% merino, so maybe not. But like this is probably a good 20, maybe 35 grams. I should weigh them all. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I've just got lots of these, end of project stuff where I've got 25, 30 grams left of bits and bobs, but I know personally I'm not going to use them for anything, and they're just sitting here taking up space and taking up room in my mind, and I just don't want them around anymore. So I think I'm going to do a de-stash. I don't know if that would be something that would be interesting for you guys. I don't intend to do it through YouTube here or anything, so when I decide what I'm going to do with them all, I'll probably pop it up on Instagram, so make sure you follow me on Instagram. It'll be Little Prairie Purl. And yeah, it'll be anything. It could be, some 100% wool, worsted. It could be a lot of Midnight Craving not scraps. I don't want to call it scraps, but like a lot of that in there is like from our shop. So Midnight Cravings yarn. A lot of it will be, merino nylon, so it'll be good for heels, toes, cuffs, or scrappy socks or something like that. They're not going to be like 5 grams, like just little piddly bits. They're all going to be about like 10 grams plus. up to half balls. Maybe there'll even be a full ball that's been sitting around and I just don't want it anymore. That might go in there. But yeah, let me know if that would be something that would interest you, and then follow me on Little Prairie Purl, because then that way, if I decide, or when I decide that I have enough scraps, I'm just going to round up a bunch of stuff that I have in my house, and I'll probably just do it for like the price of shipping or whatever. Like it's not something that I'm going to be trying to make money on. I just want them out of my house. So yeah. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below if that would be something that you would think would be useful or awesome, or that was a terrible idea, whatever. Just putting it out there. And yeah, and then watch, because eventually I'm going to probably do it sooner rather than later, just because I don't know, maybe I should wait until the postal strike is over, because yarn is getting backlogged now forever and ever, and it's just a nightmare. So maybe I'll have to wait until mail, maybe into the new year, when the mail is, because we're coming into the Christmas season too, so mail will be backlogged. But anyways, all that rambling to say, that's an idea I have. And I am going to be done for the day. I think I want to make some coffee, go sew, and enjoy my last 3 hours before my kidlets come home. So I am going to go. I hope that you guys have a wonderful few weeks. I will see you again. I hope that I will be back again in about a month, and to show you guys what I've been working on. Hopefully I'll have more than that much of a sweater. So we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great week.